In this session, we're going to discuss setting up your hardware items. And this is a supplement to a previous tutorial that I had that I think that some people may be slightly confused with. Setting up hardware item codes to put in hardware items is a two-step process. The system is designed that for every piece of hardware that you enter or you create, it has to have a hardware item code assigned to it. And to give you an example, let's go into a job and let's take a look at the hardware for opening 114 here. So I'm going to do an F6 to look at the hardware, and you'll notice that the job item on the left has code 1009 for hinges, 3 hinges, code 2005 for mortise lock, 4201 for mortise cylinder, 6001 for wall stop, and 9001 for silencer. So how do we create these items, item code numbers? I use a standard guideline form. And let me just minimize this. And I'll go to my standard form, and this is a form with the codes that I use so that when the hardware schedule prints out, it prints out in a DHI format, which is hinges first, uh, apply the hinges, the locks, the closers, exit devices, and miscellaneous. So for hinges, I use codes from 1000 to 1199. For pivots, 1500 to 1699. For flush bolts, 1900 to 1999. Mortise locks from 2000 to 2199, so on and so forth. And I pretty much have everything covered. Um, if anyone wants to for me to send them a copy of this Excel spreadsheet, I can. And down here at the bottom of the tabs and the bottoms, you'll see standard hardware codes. And if I click on the pivots, this is an example of codes that I have used on this specific job. And I like to I don't like to do code 1000, 101, 102 sequentially. What I like to do is go start off 1000, and I'll jump the next one to 1005, and the next one 1007, just in case I have to, for whatever reason, create more items that are similar. Say I have CB70 4.5 by 4.5 by 26D, and the next item it'll be a CB70 4 by 4 by 26D. So it gives me flexibility to jump and insert as I need to insert. And then I have for mortise locks and cylindrical locks and exit devices and on and on. So going back to the job, you'll see that I have these hardware items in there. Now if I do an F1 to return, I can look at the specific or display all the hardware items by going to the hardware items F8 and doing an F5 that displays all my hardware items on the job. And you'll see I use code 1000 for the first item, and I jump to code 1005 for the second one, and 1007 for the third one, and 1009 for the fourth one. And then this job has pivots, so I started, instead of 1500, I opted to use 1501 for the pivots and 1505 for the intermediate pivots. Again, if you get into using hardware that is handed, then I strongly recommend that the first one, start off with the first number. Let's say, well, these 7212s are handed items. So I start so for left hand will be a 1501 or 1500. For right hand will be a 1503. For left hand reverse it will be a 1502, and for right hand reverse um, it'll be a 1504. But we all know that pivots only comes in left hands and right hands, so I'm just using that as an example. And then some other things that I have on here. 1509 I use for the power transfer. 1901 for flush bolts. 1910 for the dustproof strike, and 2001 for I'm going into mortise locks now. And I'll page down and you'll see that I'm using more codes um, to as I add or I build my hardware items in the job. Once I finish with all those hardware items, then it's easy for me to F1 to return to populate a hardware set. So that's it for this session. If you have any questions, feel free to call me at 760-215-9347 or send me an email, frank@frankpena.com, and I'll be glad to help you. Thank you.